Hey, everybody, this is Russ Fordyce, and I'm here with Krish Banavalikar. I'm going to butcher it, Krish.
Banavalikar.
Banavalikar. I am so
Yes.
sorry. He is a cloud engagement manager at TCS, but he's also so much more. He's like a big researcher, big into languages and a cloud transformation. He's worked on like every single platform out there, it seems like, Krish. And he's one of our Winners Circle judges. So he's one of our judges, and we appreciate all his hard work. In fact, you're not only a judge, you're an all-star judge from 2024 and hopefully 2025.
It's my privilege to be with the business intelligence group, and it's been a pleasure to be on the judging panels as well, Russ. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's a lot of fun. We try to make it fun and interesting.
Sure.
You describe yourself as like a serial learner and unlearner. What do you mean by that, and how does it apply to your career?
Absolutely. So if you look at my career trend, I started as part of a small R&D team. We picked up the technologies at the time, and then I grew into more of a consultant architect kind of role. And I picked up the technologies at that time. This is around, we are talking about 2000s. And now, again, I had to learn, by force or imposition, whatever you want to call it, AI/ML, right? That's the need of the time. And again, I had to learn new things. And when you learn new things, you have to unlearn what you knew in the past for a good reason, like uh, driving car in one country on the left hand side and going to another country driving on the right hand side. You know what I mean, right?
Oh, I know
So
exactly what you mean.
that's what it means, really.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had to unlearn a lot of health things I learned recently
Exactly.
because science keeps changing. Well, so
Yeah.
looking back, what pulled you into the cloud and AI after so much work as a consultant in architecture? Why that stuff is? I mean, I see a lot of people going there, but you could have gone anywhere.
Absolutely. So, my passion, I'll tell you why exactly I came into this field. First of all, it is need of the time, but my special interest is in languages, and that too in underprivileged and underrepresented languages of the world. Uh, Part of the world where I come from, and these are the Indo-Aryan languages I'm talking about. Like, you might not have heard about them, languages like Hindi, Marathi, Sanskrit. These languages don't have any literature that can be easily digitized and can be trained. The models can be trained on, and so I feel that the modern LLMs are um predominantly English listening and English understanding, but not uh, like there are many other languages that I have a passion to bring them into the mainstream LLMs. So that is my interest, why I came into this, and this is a passion outside of my work as well. So I do a lot of research in these languages and try and build models and play around with them.
Yeah, it is interesting because I was actually having this discussion with a vendor who's in the AI space, and we were talking through how they had researched our website and had analyzed it via AI, and were doing some research of other programs and on the web.
Mhm.
And I said, well, that's all biased though, because your LLM is
Exactly.
polluted by my thinking. And so, yeah, it's
Exactly.
our LLMs are very siloed, aren't they?
Exactly that. So
So how
that's
are we going
why.
to fix that?
Okay, so there are various ways to fix it. We have to build uh, reasonable size data sets for these underrepresented languages, and then we have to build benchmarks which will test these new data sets and how the models interpret them in terms of finding like objectionable content or inserts or bias, uh, how good they understand the culture and the diversity and the spirit of these languages, the humor of these languages. You have to run your trained models through all these benchmarks and then find out how it is going, whether And then again, there are standard benchmarks for English that you have to run these new models through as well. So there are lots of techniques, but it's not difficult. And actually, I have put my paper for publication as well on this very topic, which is under review at the moment.
Well, make sure you give us a link, and we'll put it into the content as well, just so everybody
Absolutely.
can take a look at it. That's super interesting because you think about it, AI does need to know the world's information if it's going to understand the world's information, and you got to read everything.
Absolutely.
Well, you did some work on sentiment analysis for Amazon too, right? And that was a pretty good language experiment. What inspired you to do that project?
Actually, it was part of my thesis for my um, post graduation. And basically, the assignment was to find sentiment in a small data set, really, really small, that was heavily biased. So almost all the reviews were positive, but so if you say 100 reviews, 98 were positive and only 2 were negative. So you have to do a lot of balancing techniques and make sure that the model interprets the results properly, like,
Yeah.
and you have to test it against a balanced data set to make sure that it is not over trained for positive sentiment, so
Hmm.
this was the reason why I pursued the sentiment analysis, and I got 97% accuracy, which is like state of the art with the modern LLMs. And the modern LLM made the same mistake in understanding sentiment as my model. So I'm really pleased that I achieved that.
That's got to win some sort of award. You were at least as good as the AI.
No, not really, but I got an A credit for that thesis.
I
Yeah,
Well, yeah, congratulations. I mean, that's a
thank
neat,
you.
it's a very interesting, thing that you have to do, right? I mean, a machine understanding language and
Yes,
all the intricacies with language, right? All the idioms
yes,
and
and
slang and
yes, talking about slang, actually, that data set had mixed coding as well. Now, mixed coding is, think about, you have English content and it is mixed with transliteration of an Indian language or Peruvian or Chinese. So that makes it very, very difficult. So in each review, you might have some English and some other language. Now, capturing or understanding insight from that, it's a very difficult task, and
yeah.
that too biased. So yeah, it was an interesting research which I did.
Yeah, well, the data sets, are now that, we used to put them in the cloud and everybody would work on them and application would, pull from that data set. And now you've got this AI consuming data sets. How do you see that, kind of converging in the enterprise today?
Okay, so without going into the details, I'm doing something right now uh, for
No names.
no names, yeah. So a good client of mine, and I'm basically looking at how they can improve their product. So creating novel product by reducing the amount of human uh, power that they have, or human resource. So some agentic AI using some models, creating novel products, and then not only that, then use that to look at the previous orders or the volume of orders that they had, and then create or generate customer demand. So design marketing campaigns, then meet that demand, then sell, and then achieve customer feedback and measure sentiment, and tie that as a feedback to what you sold, how your novel product worked. So there are lots of things that the enterprise can transform in ways using AI, and I'm helping them to transform.
Hmm.
So I'm using data to transform the enterprise, and again, I'm using AI to learn from that data and bring it back as a feedback and, continue the cycle. So it's quite interesting.
When you're dealing with these enterprises, what's the biggest thing to like now it seems like everybody's testing stuff.
Yes.
What's the biggest challenge getting them to scale? What's, you hear about, I've heard about, especially in customer service a lot of, hey,
Mhm.
I've deployed an AI agent and it saved me 80% of, first call resolution or whatever.
Mhm.
What's stopping guys, from really kind of pushing more in?
Right. Believe me, it's not the technology or the human limits. It's the compliance and regulatory stuff. So usually, most of the AI projects get stalled in an enterprise because of the compliance and regulatory governance that they need to have in place, or the guardrails that will stop customer data or customer privacy being breached. So that is the main topic that I have to deal with on a day in, day out basis, and then uh, find ways around this so we can protect their customers. At the same time, we can speed up the ML ops that we are building, and so they can ship the models quickly, use them in the enterprise, and reap the benefit of these models. So yeah, it's non-functional aspects that stall or stop the use of AI and ML in the enterprise.
So we know companies are going to modernize with AI, right? I remember in the 90s and 2000s and into 2010s, it was the digital transformation,
Yeah,
of businesses, which I think that meant we got like, scanners instead of fax machines.
exactly.
But now we really are kind of on this new kind of modernization, so that silo of data is something people are underestimating. How can, small, medium, large companies kind of prepare for that kind of ahead of time? What can I do now to say, hey, in 5 years, this is going to look pretty great?
Um, I think first and foremost, they have to store their data in the right fashion, and then they have to use their data in the right fashion. There are certain patterns that they have to follow to make it AI ready. So, uh, what what I do is I have certain accelerators that allow them to quickly you apply those accelerators and get the data usable right now and progressively in the future for AI.
Hmm.
So definitely there are accelerators and there are products and patterns like medallion architecture that uses the data or transform the data through bronze, silver, and gold layers. Gold is your consumable data products that you can use straight away for training your features in your AI ML models. And data mesh ensures that there is enough governance and connections to your data across the enterprise, and you are able to democratize that data for these medallion architectures to use. So few of these are the tips and tricks to make your enterprise ready for the use of AI now and in the future.
Yeah, I remember going through an outsourcing event, uh, with a company, and
Mhm.
um, it was amazing how much pre-work there was. It was amazing that,
Absolutely.
how many processes weren't documented, how much data wasn't clean. And just going through that alone probably improved the bottom line a certain percentage, just because you found holes and gaps and weird data, and then applying it or outsourcing or whatever you're doing to that piece of business really is a lot easier. But I do remember how hard it was to get through that, as a,
Absolutely.
as a pretty well run company. It's just that getting that ship that tight is a little bit more effort.
Exactly. And in the past, companies focused on the transactional data to build their decision science or decision systems. Now it is very much important that you consider your operational data as well, because your AI systems can learn more on your business by using the operational data rather than your transactional data.
I was literally talking about this with my two of my children yesterday of, in the telecom game there, I think there was a study done where if a customer called in and had a successful resolution of a problem,
Yeah,
they were more loyal than a customer who didn't. And so that transaction data of, hey, they bought something doesn't mean they're happy.
exactly.
But somebody who's called recently and on a customer service source said they were happy, it has a high degree of being happy.
Absolutely.
So then I think the telephone companies all thought they'd be smart and start cutting cables and making us call them every once in a while. Or maybe the cable companies.
Yeah.
Now you kind of emphasize your role outside of work, making you kind of a rounded person as a son and father and friend and global citizen of the world. How does that
Sure.
influence your approaches to as a technologist and a leader in all of this kind of jargon filled world?
Sure. So it gives me a sense of fulfillment when I go and talk to children or students and entice them to the world of technology, face the challenges as a forerunner. Some of them come from different backgrounds, not all of them have had an opportunity or chance to excel in the beginning, and they had to go through hardships. So I give them my example because I come from a very humble background. Uh, my house was surrounded by paddy fields in an Indian village, and I didn't know what technology was. And then I slowly I got interested in science topics and then did my engineering. uh, all these stories, right? I keep enticing them. Then I got into a research and development team. I built medical devices, like ECG machines, fetal monitors, and all these things. And it truly gives me a sense of fulfillment and keeps me going. I also go and teach people about technology. So not students or pupils, actually people who want to change or take a step change in their career, um, from like finance or HR into technology. So I introduce them to a few um programs that the hyperscalers run to make them technically competent, and then gradually move into a role that fits that interest. So yeah, it's a lot of things that I can map between my personal and professional career that
N-
keeps me going.
Now you must have had good mentoring growing up. Is there something that you carry forward when guiding, these global teams and students?
Absolutely, my brother is my biggest mentor. uh, so he is like my idol, has been my idol throughout my career and will be. So yeah, that is the biggest influence. One more influence is my first manager in my first job. He uh, literally brainwashed me into how to think like a programmer, how to write code that will work without any syntactical errors. Yeah, so there are few influences that I just want to cherish, and I make sure that they stay like that.
It's
uh,
it's amazing what a young in career kind of having a mentor or just somebody kind of patting you on the back or seeing opportunity does for somebody. I remember the same thing switching jobs into that company we were talking about before that turned into
yeah.
a Tata company. I had somebody just say, kind of pull me out of a job and into another role that was like, oh, you think I can do that? And it boosts your confidence. And thank you for doing that. I'm sure all the people you touch are thrilled.
I hope so. I hope so. A lot of colleagues from within my company. So I was actually felicitated as a Golden Global Guru a couple of years ago because I trained about 300 plus people uh, to make a step change in their career and become a cloud transformational leader. So well versed. you as a consultant, as a technologist, so cloud infrastructure, DevOps, AI, ML, you name it, all topics covered in general to make that step change and start transforming the businesses of our clients. So yeah, that adds to this as well.
It's such an exciting time now. It's never like you were talking about, it's never been easier. It's never been easier to learn something, to figure something out, especially, I mean, AI, YouTube, whatever. It's never been easier wherever you are. And so
Exactly.
now you've worked in, let's see, consulting, financial services, the cloud. How do you stay up to date in all of that? And how are you keeping these businesses evolving?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So first and foremost, I keep reading. So I'm an avid reader. Unfortunately, that has to be social media these days. So I make sure that I have good content on my X feed and also LinkedIn. So I read about what is going on, and I think I make my own opinion about how it is going to be in 3 to 5 years. And that's the advice that I offer to my clients. And that's how I prepare myself. And believe it or not, I look at the job market as well, not because I want to switch a job, but I see the progression or the transformation that job roles are going through, more so in today's world of AI, where agentic AI is replacing human workforce. And that's how I give my guidance. I go through some popular Gartner and few others, and see how what the hype cycle is going towards. And that's how I base my skill set. I make sure that I draw a line as to how long I take to reach the hype topics. And that's how I keep myself up to date, and also my clients alike.
Yeah, you got to avoid the hype, or at
Yes,
least try.
yeah.
And
But it
it
never
does seem,
stops
somebody
then.
asked me that too, is like, does this feel like the .com hype? And it does. It does feel like we're building infrastructure far beyond what we need, but I've been on the capacity side of that, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. So we're not there yet.
Absolutely not.
And I remember building out the internet in the in the 90s, and we're a bazillion times capacity of that internet. So
Yeah,
this is going to go for a while.
exactly. No, I
Wait,
mean, the way, if you look at the scale and the speed and the pace at which the big, I don't want to name anyone, but they are building like thousand millions of GPUs and quadrillions of. I mean, I can't even say how it's going to grow. And quantum is just across the corner. When quantum comes, so much energy will be used to run these massive warehouses, and then crunch data at a speed of, I don't know. I can't imagine, but
well,
that's the fact.
I was recently in fiber optics, and the amount of capacity that's being deployed by the hyperscalers and the AI companies, it shadows, it puts all of the global networks in shadows. They're
Exactly.
the global networks that we think of as being the internet and have been for the last 40 years are no longer the internet.
Exactly.
They
I
are
I
they
truly
are
agree.
pipes into the AI.
Yeah. I absolutely align with that statement. Yes.
Yeah,
And it's going to be
it
more
has been a
so.
very fast transformation over the last 10 years, or max 10 years.
Yeah.
And watching it happen has been pretty astounding.
And you know what? With this, the amount of uh, security practices that we use, and the rules of the data, and everything around us is going to change. All the old algorithms that we use in the current compute paradigm, right? Once quantum compute comes, all the algorithms, think about the, I don't know, 2 raised to n algorithm that takes a while to run on, hyperpods. That's going to be really easy for quantum, and new set and new family of algorithms are going to replace our classic compute algorithms. So I can't even imagine how that's going to look like, but I'm curious and I'm passionate about when that age comes and everything changes in
Yeah,
10
I
few
can't wait either. I
years.
think it's been about 100 years
Yeah.
since I think and this is not a news show, but since the first submarine telephone cable.
Yeah.
Right. And so in 100 years, we've gone from stringing a landline, across an ocean to ringing every continent and fiber with trillions of terabytes of capacity.
Mhm.
And the data sets just keep growing, and the compute powder's got to match it. So
Yes.
something's got to change. What do you think? What's one word that describes modernization in the enterprise today, or a couple of words? Like, where are they?
I would say keeping up are my words, because they are just testing the waters. Because right now, um, the modernization and enterprise transformation, they are on a cusp of, confusion. So should they use the traditional ways? No. But should they use agentic AI? They are confused because that is something new, and no one knows, pardon me, whether it is going to work or not, whether it is just a hype. Is it going to benefit everyone? Is there a holy grail that one fits for all? Probably not. So, a lot of unanswered questions, but they can't use traditional ways of modernizing an enterprise. So, yeah, I would say just they are just curious and trying to catch up. That's how I would describe it.
And we're going to wrap up in a minute here, but what's one thing that really, what's one technology, I guess probably AI technology, that really you think is transformational that nobody's talking about?
Transformational, but no one is talking about.
Yeah, or a
Um,
category. And I see all these categories of AI, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you talk to somebody about how it's going to transform, medicine, or medical science and all that, and you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. So is there something in your world where you're like, oh man, if people only knew that this was going to change to that, or there was some technology that can move something that you didn't expect? You have any thoughts on that?
uh, Not really. I mean, as a consultant, I can't say that this is undermined, or, this is because I recommend all sorts of AI to my clients, and they use it. However, if you really want me to point out at one particular thing, that is the multilingual part that I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier in our discussion. Multilingual is not mature. So if you talk about LLMs, they are not truly multilingual. Well, they can have a conversation
Right.
in multiple languages. I can't fault that. But they don't understand the culture and the literature and the humor and the
Slang.
obscenity, slang, insult, you name it, right? From all the languages of the world, right? And multilingual is going to make a massive progress in the next decade. And I hope that it will be unbiased, because right now it is focused on the popular mainstream languages. So yeah, that
Well,
is going to make a massive progress.
I have some ideas for you I'll talk to in a minute when we get off the line. But it's very interesting. I think the multilingual approach is definitely a need, and you've got to go find content for that
Correct. Yeah,
to train your
and
models.
it's not just that. Think about the phones of the future, right? The iPhones, the Pixels, right? If you want to go in economies that you have never been, and you want to use models, monetize them, you have to learn their language and you have to support their language. How do you do that? Just by doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate all your help and jumping on here too. And I mean, having someone like you read and score these nominations, I mean, it's the quality of judges that we have, and I really applaud you for doing it. And thank you for all the effort that you put into it. It's great to have somebody at your caliber doing this. So I appreciate it.
It was my pleasure, Russ, being on the judging panel, and I'm looking forward to carry on.
Yeah,
It
we
was
are.
really
We have some new programs that should be interesting and some adoptions that we'll probably get you involved with. But I really appreciate
absolutely
it. Thank you for doing the podcast with us too.
my pleasure.
Thanks, Krish.
Hope to see you again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Russ.